Some wives blame everything on their own husbands without ever looking at their own actions until the time the truth hits them, it's already too late. But today, we're watching women finally realize when they lost and regret throwing their entire lives away. So subscribe and let's get into it.
I blew up my life 2.5 years ago. After a year of telling my husband that I was not happy and us talking about divorce, or me talking about divorce, I just decided one day that that was that. I was gonna leave. And I packed a suitcase and I left. And for those of you that have also done this, I wonder if you have any regrets.
This situation is pretty common. Some spouses convince themselves that their partner is the reason for their unhappiness and expect them to fix everything. Then they walk away and later realize that they needed to work on themselves first. In the end, it becomes clear that the real issue was on their side, not the other way around.
I'll probably delete this, but I'm feeling really scared. I wasn't looking to be alone at 48. I didn't get married to get divorced. I tried so much. Like, I can't imagine being with anyone else. I mean, I can, but it could just be a fantasy because I'm really good at limerence. I'm really good at living in the positive, the what could be's. I don't know.
How can you be crying like that when you're the one who chose to file for a divorce in the first place? The regret is only going to make everything feel heavier, and the only thing left is to keep your chin up and face life that is waiting for you.
The first week that I am commuting into the city as an apartment dweller, not as a homeowner, not as a married woman, not as a woman with a kid at home. I lived in the city for a long time, but when I got married, a million years ago, we moved out to the suburbs right outside of New York City and bought a house, and I lived in that house for 22 years. I got divorced and I moved out, and I've been living in an apartment. So I've been working remotely, and now the company that I work for has opened up a New York City office, and I'm going in 2 to 3 days a week. So this is only day 3. But I noticed, I'm like, something feels really different. And I realized, like, this is the only time in my life where I've commuted from the city back into Westchester and not come home to a house and not come home to a husband. I don't know how I feel yet. So I can go home and do whatever the fuck I want, which is cool and true, but I do miss coming home to someone. It'd be a lie to say that I didn't. I used to park in the garage over here and get in my car and drive to my house. What are we doing for dinner? What are we doing? Like, you know, you're coming home to a family. And now I'm not. Now I'm coming home to my apartment. And just remembering, I guess, that it was nice to come home to a family. You get divorced, right? You don't have that anymore.
It seems like you had a pretty dang stable life, yet you chose to throw it away on your own. I mean, the freedom you were chasing was only going to turn into eventual uncomfortable emptiness. You know, people are social creatures, and healthy relationships matter more than we really can possibly realize. You know, you can't go against the reality of human connection and expect it to feel normal.
I've been divorced for 3 years, and in that 3 years, I have spent most of my days figuring out how I can become physically, mentally, financially, spiritually healthy enough to be able to afford and take care of a child. And it just kills me. It kills me that I had embryos with my ex-husband that were viable. It's not just that it's gone, it's the fact that it was decided for me.
I don't know why people don't think a gazillion times before making such a big decision. I mean, seriously, what you fail to understand is that there is no perfect life, and chasing some imagined, like, perfect version is the very reason that you're feeling all this sadness now.
5 years later, I'm still haunted by the words he said when he left me. 5 years ago, I ruined everything. I was engaged to the kindest, most loving man I'd ever known. He was the kind of person who made everyone around him feel cared for, safe, and loved. We were planning our wedding. I thought we were going to spend the rest of our lives together. And then I made the dumbest mistake of my life. I kissed someone else. It was meaningless and I regretted it the moment it happened. The guilt was unbearable. I told him the next day because I couldn't keep it from him. I begged for forgiveness, promised I'd do anything to fix it. But he just looked at me like I'd shattered something deep inside him. He didn't yell. He didn't cry. He just said, "It's over," and walked out.
Wow.
I tried to reach him for weeks. He ignored every call and text. Eventually, I wrote him a long letter apologizing and asking him for one chance to talk. When he finally agreed to meet, I thought maybe, just maybe, we could work through it. We talked about our memories, the good times, the love we shared, all the dreams we had for the future. For a moment, it almost felt like old times. And then I asked him if he could ever forgive me. What he said next has been burned into my brain ever since. I hear it every single day, word for word, and it plays in my mind like a broken record. I hope someone comes into your life who makes you feel loved and safe just to betray you. I hope you spend every day wondering if the people you trust are lying to you. I hope you never feel secure in love again. I hope even when things seem perfect, there's a part of you that can't shake the doubt. I hope every "I love you" you hear makes you wonder if they really mean it. And when it all falls apart, when it breaks you, I hope you remember that this is what you gave me.
He sounds like a solid man. You broke his trust and left him with emotional wounds, so it makes complete sense why he chose to walk away in the end. Some choices just can't be undone, and some relationships don't get second chances. He's a man who values himself, and he deserves a partner who respects that, period.
You said in your youth you made, and these are your pre-show notes here, you made a lot of poor choices that make it impossible for you to ever be considered traditional or chaste.
High body count. I did cheat on a couple guys, one when I was 19 and one when I was 21, and it was wrong. They were good men, and I'm sorry I did it. And I think also just having an overinflated ego, because I fell into the trap where I thought, oh, you know, these guys are sleeping with me. That means something. It doesn't.
When did you have the change of heart?
I would say 28. 28 was when I first, because I think that was the beginning of what they say of like hitting the wall sort of thing. So I looked at myself and I just, I looked at what I wanted to do, being a mother.
It was too late, but at least you finally understood the mistakes, and for that, you genuinely do have my respect, and I'm sure other people's as well. Street behavior, for lack of better words, really never leads to a meaningful or stable life, and there's always a harsh wake-up call waiting for anyone who chooses that path eventually, sooner rather than later. The sooner people recognize it, the better it is for their future.
You talk about how hard it is to leave the good guy. When you say, I want a divorce, and he's like, no, I want to work this out. Everything's going to be fine. We can get through this, and he's so encouraging, and everything's just so peachy keen, right? We talk about how I'm manipulated into staying because he's a good guy. He does nothing wrong. Like, the only thing he's guilty of is being lazy and, not putting in effort like we did when we were in the beginning of our relationship, like any other marriage. He doesn't beat me, he doesn't do anything, he doesn't take money from me, but he downplays my emotions. I don't think he fully understands me. And we've talked about this, y'all. This has all been in counseling, but how do you leave the good guy?
You want to leave a good man, and now it's bringing tears to your eyes. I mean, seriously though, many people would appreciate having that kind of healthy relationship that you have, and it speaks well of him, and just that he still wanted to work things out with you, and that's a huge thing. Trust me, we're gonna see this girl really regretting her decision sooner or later.
For anybody out there who got divorced and regrets it, especially women 35, 40, 45, please tap in and let me know, because at this point I am probably not 99, maybe 89% sure that I'm probably going to be divorced within the next year. So I can't stay with this. I can't be with you. I can't. And I feel like I've tried so hard. So I've been married for 3 years. People always ask me. And it's really gotten to the point where it's the past probably 2 months have just been the worst. To where it's maybe we just call it. Maybe we just call a spade a spade. But then I'm I remember when my parents got divorced, and I do not want to put, my son through that. But also, doing it for the kids is not enough. Love is not enough. Getting married, I kind of regret getting married for love, because I damn sure didn't get married for money. But I'm also just as a Christian, shouldn't get divorced. Whatever it is, we can work it out. It's you and me against the world. But it's damn, do I want to be miserable? How long do I want to be? How long do I want to be miserable for? And the thing that I also hate is like people. I feel like people don't share this part of marriage. Like when people are in the thick of it. Because I was watching this interview with like DeVal and Kadeen, and I think he said the first 3 to 5 years of their marriage was like hell, but they stuck it out, and now they've been married for what, like 10, 15 years, and they, you know, seem to be happy. I don't know, but it's like.
The reason you don't hear many people talk about this is that misery loves company. If your partner is not harming you or being unfaithful, then you should be willing to fight for your marriage. Seriously, I mean, a divorce should never really be the first choice and should only come into play if every other option has been exhausted.
I love that I don't have to run every thing by a guy. I love that I don't have to, well, oh my God, co-parent. I love that I don't have to do any of that stuff. And my children, you know, we joke, listen, I think you can tell, like, this is how I raise my kids. Yeah. Like, right? We don't hide this.
But don't worry, while Charlize doesn't think husband or father is important in life, she hasn't given up on men altogether.
I found this freedom in my 40s where I'm like, oh my God. So I just want to say this in perspective. I've probably had 3 one-night stands in my entire life. Okay. But I did just recently a 26-year-old, and it was really amazing. Yes. And I've never done that. And I was like, oh, this is great. Okay.
Let me just say that 26-year-old is the luckiest man walking on this goddamn planet. He's walking different today, knowing, oh my God.
He for sure is not, but thank you.
No, he is.
Well, the episode's been viewed by nearly 1 million people so far. Reaction's been divided between those who celebrate Charlize as, quote, a powerful, badass epitome of a strong woman fighting against the evil patriarchy, and others who, in equally strident language, view the whole episode as yet another example of modern feminist media denigrating the role of men at every given opportunity. Andrew, your thoughts on Charlize Theron? She doesn't need a man. She likes banging 26-year-olds when she feels like it. You don't need fathers in life. You just need a strong, bad woman.
Well, you know, it's really funny. The reason nobody cares really very much when a 40-year-old attractive woman has sex with some random young man is because it's not impressive. It's impressive when men can bang young women because most men can't bang young women, but most older women can bang young men. So it's just not an impressive accomplishment. Of course, these are the same women who will screech because, you know, Leonardo DiCaprio decides that he wants to change up you know, at 25 years old, any of the broads he has hanging around. But this is not an impressive accomplishment. All a woman needs to do to get laid is go somewhere where there's men and offer it up. It's not the case for men. So it's an unimpressive accomplishment on its face. As to the rest of what she's saying, this is just normal tripe, right? Her kids are the ones who are going to get punished. They're always the ones who get punished. We can look at the data for outcomes on children who are raised in single mother homes. It's not good. It's not good for their mental health. It's not. And by the way, the rates of abuse from having strange men around skyrocket. Terrible idea. And it's exactly the wrong kind of propaganda to be pushing.
All right, Taylor Lorenz, isn't it just a factual reality of life that women are predominantly happier with a man by their side and children are predominantly better off in life with a present father?
I think, listen, children are better off in life when they have a loving household, and not all of those households have fathers. I mean, there are lesbian parents, there are, you know, different types of arrangements. I think it's important for kids to have different figures in their life who they can look up to. And, you know, I think it's really important to expose kids to all different types of figures, but that doesn't have to be, you know, that doesn't have to be like a man, a cisgender man that's standing around all the time. There's plenty of terrible fathers out there too. So, yeah, I think it's great that that the child is growing up in a loving household, and hopefully, you know, she'll expose the child to lots of different types.
Yeah, but can you acknowledge that we have now been studying this phenomenon of single motherhood for years and years and years, and that the outcomes for children of single mothers tend to be terrible in comparison to the outcomes of children without them? Can you just acknowledge that that is true?
So I think what you're talking about are studies.
I'm asking a question. Don't run from the question. Yes or no? I want you to acknowledge with a yes or no, then a qualifier. Yes or no? Isn't it true that outcomes for children when they're raised by single mothers tend to be worse than those with a mother and a father in the house? Yes or no? Then give me your answer.
So I'd love to respond if you stop talking over me.
Go ahead.
Anyway,
children do need a loving household, but they also do need to see a stable and responsible example in order to grow into a balanced member of society. If a child watches a parent constantly bringing random 26-year-olds into their life, nothing positive is really going to ever come out of that environment ever.
I really don't know how I got here. I am literally sitting in my car, just finished a business meeting about acquiring a pretty good, we'll just say a existing business, okay? And I'm just sitting here looking back at everything that has happened in my life, like, what the like, all I ever wanted in life was to be a wife and a mom and have a family. I like the simple life. I want to live a little bit out in the country on some land and have 2 cows, because if you have one, it's going to be lonely. With my family, and I wanted a big family, and you know, the kids come over when they grow up, and then the grandkids come over, and like we all ride 4-wheelers together and just all that kind of stuff, you know.
For us men, it's easy to understand how you ended up in this situation. Your biggest mistake was listening to those online voices that pushed you towards blaming your husband for many things, if not everything. They convinced you that you were better off without him, and now the truth has finally shown itself. The online world is very different from the real one.
After I got divorced, I was so lonely and isolated. It was awful. And it's easy to think that if you just had a partner again or could just meet somebody, that would cure your loneliness, but it actually doesn't. For example, have you ever been in a relationship and still felt lonely? I know I have. So I just want you to maybe readjust your perspective on that and not look for the cure of loneliness in a relationship. I work on all this inside stuff and figure out the root of your loneliness and address that before you even start thinking about getting into another relationship, because people can sense and feel that. Just a thought for you.
This is one of the main reasons people just end up walking away from a marriage, is because they just don't address their own issues first. And they should take time to work on themselves instead of placing all the blame on the partner.
So a young man said that his baby mama contacted him and told him that she needed him to help her with her rent for a few months because she lost her job. And he said, "Don't you have a man?" And she said, "Yeah, I have a man, but I also have your daughter. So I need to know if you can help me for a few months." He said, "No." And she said, "Well, I have your daughter here. I need you to help me keep a roof over her head." And he said, "Well, I can do better than that." He said, "She can come stay with me for a few months until you get on your feet." She said, "Why would I do that? Why would I let her come stay with you when I'm going through something and all you have to do is help me and pay my rent?" He said, "Don't you have a man?" She called him all type of broke. Everything she could think of, she called him. And he sat there patiently. And he listened to her. And then when she got done all that fussing and cussing and bashing him and all that, he said, "But you calling me for help." He said, "So again, I can offer you this solution. I will come get my daughter and I will keep her safe until you get on your feet. That's what I can do for you." He said, "That's all I can do for you." He said, "But I'm not giving you money to put in a household and you got a man. But it's about your daughter. It's not about him." He said, "That's it. That's the reason why I can take my daughter and I can make sure my daughter's good." Do you think he was wrong for that?
My brother handled that situation quite well. I mean, what she needs to understand is that he has no obligation towards her anymore. The only person that he's responsible for is his daughter, and if he's offering her a safe place to live, that already shows that he's a good father and a good man. It really does seem like she tried to put some money for him, and it just did not work, so of course ended up angry.
Good
left my husband 5 months ago and I regret it. No, you're not supposed to say that. I know I'm supposed to be in my living my best life, hoe era, whatever, but like, no. These last 5 months have broken my spirit. They have been the hardest of my life. These last 5 months have required so much work, so much discipline to get back to myself. But it's supposed to suck. I talked to my friend last night about this on the phone and he really put it in perspective for me. Said the year you get a divorce was going to suck regardless. I question my decisions constantly. No matter what choice I made, I would have been miserable regardless. Life is not supposed to be happy and perfect all the time. Most growth comes from the times when we are having to do the work, having to sit in our misery, having to sit in the quiet. And that is exactly what I'm doing. 31 and I feel like I'm 18 again trying to navigate the world. Because you know what I regret more than leaving my husband? I regret having to get to that point anyway. I regret marrying the wrong person in the first place and not listening to my intuition.
If you're regretting the divorce after choosing it yourself in the first place, yet you're still calling him the wrong one, the lack of accountability is just quite hardcore in this situation. You kind of brought it upon yourself, so there's no real point about crying anymore.
So you see women on this app like crashing out because of how horrible like their ex-husbands are, their baby dads are, just like ruining their life and just, you know, making their life so difficult. And I'm like, oh my God, that's so horrible what those women are going through. And now I'm one of them. I filed for divorce 2 months ago. I've been trying to look for an apartment, and the places that I'm looking at, I need to make 3 times the rent to be able to rent them. And unfortunately, with my job, I'm a CNA. I don't make 3 times the rent. So I need a child support order to be able to add to my income so I can meet the requirement. And I've been trying to get into some sort of settlement with my soon-to-be ex-husband on that. And basically, he is blackmailing me, I guess. He wants me to sign away all rights I have to his military retirement. He is in the Army. He has been in for 18 years. He'll be retiring in 2 years. And I've been married to him the entire time. So the retirement's a marital asset. So I am entitled to part of it. We've been going back and forth and fighting about it, and I just can't take it anymore. I just want to leave. I just want to move out, and I just want to start my life over. So I offer to sign away my right to the military retirement in return for spousal support and the entirety of the savings account that we have. I send the proposal to my lawyer and tell her this is what I'm proposing to do. And she comes back and says, well, this is a bad idea. And then she says, well, you could get a temporary order from the court for the child support, but that's going to cost you $4,000 in legal fees, and it may not be binding because it's only temporary, so you may not even be able to use that to really add to your income. And she goes into this long thing, which I appreciate. I appreciate her telling me the legal stuff, because she's basically telling me you are an idiot to sign this away. And she does all the numbers, and the numbers don't make any sense. Basically, I'm giving away more to get less.
Entitled to his retirement money? You definitely aren't owned anything he worked for if you're choosing to leave him. I mean, you definitely were not the one out there on military missions putting your life on the line, you know, risking your entire existence, you know, sitting at home and contributing, you know, a little to his career doesn't make you entitled to his paychecks now. It really just kind of shows how flawed things can be at times.
Why do divorced women struggle on just one income? 1 in 5 women become impoverished because of divorce. Women also see a 20% decline in their income with divorce, while men generally see a 30% increase in their income post-divorce. Why is it that this happens to women post-divorce? Have increased financial responsibility, house payment, utilities, groceries, childcare, education, healthcare. There's the legal expenses of divorce. You have attorney fees. You're going to most likely incur some debt because of splitting up assets. You may be getting paid child support. You may be getting paid alimony. A lot of times that's not enough to cover the gap between your paycheck and all your expenses. And if you're like me, I'm the one paying alimony, not him. Like, what happens in a medical emergency? You have an appliance that needs repaired. You have a car that needs repaired. While you're already trying to stretch your dollar further than it will go,
So we're not prepared for an emergency either. Literally set up for failure because the cost of living is so high right now. Single moms are really struggling to make ends meet on one income because everything is so damn expensive. Look, I've been where you are. I really started to stick to a budget so that I can make ends meet. I asked for help. A lot of times it's really hard for me to ask for help because I have a lot of pride. I continue to work my full-time job, and I am in a situation now where I am looking to make extra income on the side. I ended up finding a side hustle that I can do from home, work off my phone or my computer, and it's flexible around my schedule. If this is resonating with you, I hope that you're finding this information helpful. I sincerely want to be able to help other women just like me. Go ahead and give me a double tap on the screen so that I know that you like what you're seeing, and give me a follow so you can continue to watch for other tips and hacks post-divorce.
I am pretty tired of seeing people end up playing the victim when the full picture is never that simple. Single fathers exist too, and many of them manage their own household bills while still paying alimony and child support. Not to mention, there are girls receiving half of what they, ended up not exactly working for, and they still act as if it's not enough. And it's pretty hardcore. So for those, like exactly what I just mentioned, keep going. You'll get it.
You know what I don't think is talked about enough in the post-divorce life is how much that breakup, that very first breakup of a somewhat serious relationship where feelings are really getting involved, sucks. Like almost worse than the divorce itself. Now, what I did in my marriage was basically slow quit it. Now, I didn't know what that was at the time, but my feelings for him and the breakup kind of was happening over a period of years where it was just a very slow death to the relationship. And when you get out of a marriage or you separate from that person, and I jumped into another relationship within 6 months of us separating, thinking I was ready, even though technically I was still married, so don't recommend that, but you got to figure it out for yourself, And that relationship moved very quickly because I went right back into wife mode. He was also recently divorced, so we were kind of each other's, I would say, rebounds. And so I kind of just went right back into wifey mode and just kind of played that role and tried to recreate those feelings. But I don't know that I got super emotionally deep with this person because I don't think that we were compatible like that. It wasn't until about 1.5 years after that when there was somebody that I really felt had potential for me to fall in love with, and I dove right into that, right? And it was a love bombing, anxious avoidant kind of a thing, but I wasn't aware of what that was at the time. And it only lasted about 6 weeks, and it fizzled out just as quickly as it started, but it lingered. Like that breakup and its impact on me really lingered. And here's why. Because that was the first time I had to really face that there were patterns that I thought were only exclusive to my ex-husband and me and our dynamic that I started to recognize, oh, this is happening again with somebody else, or these same things are coming up, or these same feelings, or the same anxiety was coming up. I don't think I can keep blaming it on everybody else because I'm the common denominator. Ouch! That's the hardest part about getting back into the dating world post-divorce, is trying to navigate the healing journey of what you thought were problems that were exclusive to your marriage that then start showing up in different relationships. And you have to now start to look at yourself as, what is it that I'm either being drawn to, or what is it that I've normalized that I'm being attracted to that actually isn't in my best interest and actually ends up hurting me.
These same feelings keep coming back because the issue lies within you. It's not with the men you choose. You could try again with countless partners, and the outcome is probably still going to end up being the same if never addressed with what's going on inside yourself. And that really is the truth. Besides that, though, that concludes the video. If you enjoyed, leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss content like this in the future, and I'll catch you on the next one. Stay strong.